And US stocks have plunged into correction territory. Correction is a technical word on the market. It means a fall of more than 10% because of these coronavirus fears. Joining us now is senior business correspondent Peter Ryan. Peter, g'day. Been a shocking week on the markets. First of all, take us through what's happened overnight on Wall Street.
Well, Joe, when you hear global leaders, including Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison, talking about preparations for a pandemic, that's when global investors start getting really worried, and global share markets really are the measure of how much concern there is around the world. When I got up this morning, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down around about 2%.
That was like a couple of hours before the close.
A couple of hours before the close. I get up early. but in the final 20 minutes or even 5 or 10 minutes, there was a real acceleration in the sell-off, and I was watching the screen go, deep at 2.2%, up to 3%, then to 4%. We haven't seen anything like this since the depths of the global financial crisis. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average ending 4.4% weaker. The S&P 500 4.4% weaker as well, and also the tech-heavy Nasdaq 4.6%. So a lot of fear out there that if the pandemic comes to pass, there could be a real industrial slowdown around the world, as we've been seeing in China, and that could really spark a global recession. And that's important because Australia's been 28 years without a recession, so the next couple of GDP readings that we see, and there'll be one next week, could be quite testing for the strength of the Australian economy.
And so what's the tally for the week on the Dow then now? It's down more than 10%?
Yeah, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, since its record high on February the 19th, is now down in excess of 12%. So as you said at the introduction, well into correction territory. That's where we're heading, and we can expect more falls. And certainly, given that there doesn't appear to be any sort of vaccine in sight, and we've seen the spread out of China and Asia into North Italy, Greece, even that isolated case of someone in California who hadn't even travelled overseas. So global health authorities really are quite concerned.
And what's happened on the Australian market this week?
Similar falls. When Wall Street ends lower, Australia really has nowhere else to hide. And with the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 4.4% this morning, the futures market are looking at the All Ordinaries Index, or the ASX 200, opening around about 2.5% weaker. So that's going to be adding to falls which are now well in excess of $100 billion worth of market value wiped off this week. So it's going to be ending quite a historic week on the Australian share market. What we'll be testing tonight is Friday US time, how the Dow Jones or Wall Street ends the week, and that's going to be a big test for global markets.
Okay, we'll leave it there, Peter Ryan.